You should be on page 48 and 49 in your notes notebook, so if you're not there, please get there. You'll also need a highlighter and something to write with for this set of notes. What I would like to do is go ahead and read through this with you. What we're going to be talking about here are the roles of the president. Today we just started talking about the executive branch, and their job is to enforce the law. The president is the leader of the executive branch, and he has many different ways that he can go about enforcing laws. And so today we're going to talk about the roles of the president and all of the different responsibilities and jobs that the president has. So let's go ahead and start reading through page 48 together. It says, the president has many different roles. The president can exercise power as the chief of state or the ceremonial head of government. The president can exercise power as the chief executive or the head of the executive branch of the national government. The president can exercise power as the chief legislator who proposes a legislative agenda to the Congress. The president can exercise power as the commander-in-chief or head of the nation's armed forces. The president can exercise power as the chief diplomat or architect of American foreign policy. The president can exercise power as the chief of party or leader of the political party that controls the executive branch. Finally, the president can exercise power as the chief citizen or the leading representative of the American people. All right, so to let me know that you just listened to me read that, I want you to draw a smiley face down here at the bottom of that page. And then if you would, flip over to page 49 because we're going to take a few notes on this. So flip over to page 49. And what I would like for you to do is at the bottom of that page, maybe right above that bottom hole in your notebook, draw a line across the bottom because you're going to have an assignment to do at the end of this video, and you'll need to complete that assignment down here at the bottom of your paper. So maybe skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines at the bottom and draw a line there. At the top, though, I want you to draw a circle in the middle because you're going to do a bubble map. And then in the middle of that circle, I don't know if you can see this pen very well. In the middle of that circle, write roles of the president. And there are going to be 7 bubbles that you're going to draw around the outside of the center one. So we're talking about roles of the president today. You'll need to write the role, and you'll also need to write what it means while you're taking your notes. So let's go ahead and look at some of these roles. Okay, so you're writing this on page 49. The first role that we read about was chief of state. So chief of state is where the president is the head of government, and some things that the president will do as chief of state are here in the parentheses. The president will make speeches, and these are speeches like one that is down here, a commencement speech. This is George Bush. He's at Ohio State University, and he's speaking at the graduation. So this is an example of the type of speech that the president would give as chief of state. Up here, the president is awarding this gentleman, he's getting the Teacher of the Year award for 2014 for the entire country. And so while the president is giving him this award, he is serving as chief of state. So make sure you get this information written in. And remember, you can pause the video whenever you need to make sure that you get all the information written in. So here are some examples of the president serving as the head of government or chief of state. Let's look at the next one, which is down here. It's chief executive. This is where the president is serving as the leader of the executive branch, or the leader of the bureaucracy. That's another word for the executive branch. Some things that the president might do as chief executive is appoint officials. Here is a picture of the president, President Clinton. He chose this lady, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, as a Supreme Court Justice, and she is being sworn in as a Supreme Court Justice. So he chose her, he appointed her for that position. Here is the president conducting a cabinet meeting. This is another responsibility that the president has as chief executive. This is a cabinet meeting under Ronald Reagan. So here's President Reagan here. And all of these people, we talked about the cabinet earlier, all of these people are members of the president's cabinet. They're secretaries of various departments in our executive branch. And they meet with the president and help him make decisions in specific areas of concern. So let's look back at this description, make sure you have all of this written in. One other thing that I don't have a picture of that the president does as chief executive is prepare the budget. So this plan for how we're going to spend money in our country, the president is responsible for creating that. All right, let's look at the next role, which is chief legislator. So one thing that the president can do as chief legislator is propose laws to Congress or come up with ideas for laws. And the best way that the president can share his ideas for laws is through a speech that he makes every year called the State of the Union Address. And I have just mentioned to you guys that when the president makes speeches, he's serving as chief of state. But this specific speech, the State of the Union Address, is where the president is serving as chief legislator. This is a picture of Ronald Reagan again. He is making a State of the Union address. This happens in the House of Representatives because that's where there are the most seats for people to come in and watch. And all of the important people in government are here on this day. Supreme Court justices, the Joint Chiefs of Staff of the military, most of your senators and your representatives are there. Your cabinet is there. So most of the important people in government are here at the State of the Union Address. And they're listening to the president share his ideas for new laws that he would like to see created. Something else the president can do as chief legislator, and we talked about this yesterday, is signing or vetoing a bill. So here's a picture of President Kennedy in the 1960s. That's a bill that's in front of him, and he is signing it. Usually when the president signs a bill, they may take a picture like this, and all of the people that are behind the president are people that had a role to play in writing the bill and getting it passed through Congress. So these are things the president can do as chief legislator. The next role that the president plays is commander-in-chief, and this is where the president serves as the leader of the military. So here's President Obama meeting with troops. He's serving as commander-in-chief here. When the president meets with military leaders, he's serving as commander-in-chief. When he's making decisions that involve the military, the president is serving as commander-in-chief in that role. Let's look next at chief diplomat. This is where the president is serving as the leader of foreign policy. Remember that word foreign has to do with other countries. So this is where the president is working to maintain our relationship with other countries. Here's a picture of President Clinton meeting with Boris Yeltsin. He used to be the leader of Russia before Vladimir Putin. And so Clinton was meeting with him, talking about our relationship with Russia. Looks like they're having a good time. Here is a picture of President Obama at a UN meeting. So he has, United States of America in front of him. And then there are other leaders of other countries. They have their countries written in front of them. If you'll notice, some of these men have headphones on, which is kind of neat because they're translators. Someone was probably making a speech in English, and so these men may not know English very well, so what they have are headphones, and translators are translating the speech for them so that they can listen and understand it. So that is the president's role as chief diplomat. He is maintaining our relationship with other countries, a friendly relationship, hopefully, making sure we get along with other countries. The next role of the president is chief of party. And this is where the president is serving as the leader of their political party. So President Obama is a Democrat, so right now he is the leader of the Democratic Party. And one thing they will do as the leader of their political party is make speeches and campaign for fellow party members. So here's a picture of President Obama campaigning for Hillary Clinton. He's a Democrat. She wants to be the next president as a Democrat, and so he is trying to help her win that job as president. he's won the job before, so maybe he can help her win. That's kind of the thinking behind it. The last role of the president is chief citizen. And this is where the president serves as a representative of all Americans. So I like to think when the president is just being a regular and normal person, he is serving as chief citizen. So here's a picture of Bill Clinton. He was famous for liking to jog or run. So here he is with some other people out for a morning run. Then here is a picture of George W. Bush. He has a ranch in Texas, and so the media like to take a lot of pictures of him working on his ranch. So here he is serving as chief citizen, or kind of a representative of everyone, being a normal, upstanding, responsible, good citizen. Okay, that's it for the roles. So you need to have all of those written in. And what I need for you to do now is go back. Okay, I'm sorry, I got cut off there for a second. Go back to your notebook, and down at the bottom where I had you draw the line, what I need for you to do here is number from 1 to 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 at the bottom. And what we're going to do is look at some pictures, and you need to tell me which role of the president is being demonstrated. So if you think the role that's being demonstrated is chief of state, then you'll write chief of state there. If you think the role that's being demonstrated is commander-in-chief, you'll write commander-in-chief. There are 7 roles. There are 10 pictures. So you're going to use some of these roles twice. Okay? Let's do the first one together, and then you can do the rest on your own. Okay. Oh, that's not showing the bottom part. Here, let's just do it like this. You can see it on the screen. All right, so this is President Bush awarding someone with the Congressional Medal of Honor. So this is President Bush giving someone an award. So this would be an example of chief of state. So here on your paper, beside number 1, you would write chief of state. And remember, you might use that one again, so don't think that you can't use it again. So let's look at the rest of these. Number 2 is President Kennedy meeting with military advisors. So write down which role of the president you think that is. Number 3 is President Johnson signing a bill into law. Number 4 is President Obama playing basketball with some kids. Remember, you can pause this whenever you need to if you think I'm moving too fast. Number 5 is President Obama making a speech for Martha Coakley. Number 6 is President Roosevelt meeting with Joseph Stalin, leader of the Soviet Union, and Prime Minister Winston Churchill of Great Britain. Number 7 is President Obama meeting with his cabinet. Number 8 is John Roberts being sworn in as Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. Number 9 is President Reagan making the State of the Union address. And number 10 is President Clinton talking with members of the United States military. And when you're done, just bring me your notebook so I can check your work.